Greetings, we hope all is well. This is the Walking by Faith podcast hosted by Minister Larry Montgomery, Sr. and friends. Genesis 1:1, KJV, states, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." And 2 Corinthians 5:7, KJV, states, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." While Romans 10:17, KJV, says, "So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." Which brings us to Hosea 4:6, KJV, that states, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Welcome to another episode of the Walking by Faith podcast. I am your host, Minister Larry Montgomery, Sr. The sole purpose of this podcast is to present candid discussions about various words that are found in the Bible with an eye towards defining in the context of these troubled times, along with clarity, insight, commentary, and hopefully some revelation to interested listeners. This podcast is a presentation of the Montgomery Media Group.tv and can be found on most podcast platforms. Video presentations are available on YouTube, the African American Shopping Network channel. This show is sponsored by www.theauthor'scorner.online. Please like us and follow us on Facebook.
And welcome to another episode of the Walking by Faith podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Larry Montgomery Sr. This week's topic is, why is trust built on submission?
Let's talk about something that's honestly at the heart of every faith journey: trust and submission. Two words that can feel kind of heavy, right? But what if I told you that together, they're actually the secret ingredients to a deeper, more peaceful life? So, let's start with trust. When I think about trust from a faith perspective, I picture those moments when life feels totally out of my hands. You know, like when you're standing at the edge of a big decision, or you're just not sure how things are going to work out. Trust is choosing to believe that God's got you, even when you don't have all the answers. But here's the thing. Trust isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's waking up every day and saying, "Okay, God, I don't know what today holds, but I know you hold me." That's powerful, because real trust means letting go of control. And that's where submission comes in. Now, submission is a word that can make us squirm a little. It sounds like giving up or being weak. But in faith, submission is actually the boldest move you can make. It's saying, "I trust you so much, I'm willing to let go of my own plans, my own timeline, my own understanding." It's not about losing yourself. It's about finding the freedom that comes when you're not carrying everything alone. Think about it like this. Imagine you're holding a bunch of heavy bags, trying to get through a narrow door. You can't fit through unless you set some things down. Submission is choosing to set those bags down. You're not weaker for it, you're lighter. And the crazy thing? When I've let go and submitted my plans to God, I've found that He always has something better in store. Maybe not easier, but always deeper, richer, and more meaningful than what I could have come up with on my own. There's this verse I love. Proverbs 3:5-6. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Notice how trust and submission go hand in hand? Trust is the heart posture, and submission is the step you take because of that trust. So if you're struggling with letting go, or you're scared to submit your plans, dreams, or worries, know this: you're not alone. Every faith journey is filled with ups and downs, questions and doubts. But when you choose trust and you're brave enough to submit, you open yourself up to a life that's guided by something so much bigger and better than you could ever imagine. And that, to me, is the beauty of faith. Trust and submission aren't just rules to follow. They're an invitation to walk lighter, love deeper, and live freer. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you're wrestling with trust or submission, I hope you know it's okay to take it one step at a time. You've got this, and more importantly, God's got you.
Submission is a very important concept that as Christians we need to be reminded of from time to time, that without submission there is no trust. In this episode, we explore the profound connection between trust and submission from a faith-based perspective. Trust at its core often requires letting go of our own desires and surrendering to something greater than ourselves. By submitting our will, we open the door for deeper trust, not only in our relationships with others, but also in our spiritual journey with God. We're going to talk about a couple of aspects here of submission and how important it is to really understand how that impacts trust in a minute. Not going to be long, but we're going to touch on these things because it's God put it on my heart that this is something that we need to be reminded of from time to time, especially in these troubled times that we're living in here in the United States, that God is still in control. You know, one or two people may think they're in control, but they're not. And not to call out any names and not to add any fuel to the fire that's already out there, but we as Christians need to just be reminded sometimes, especially when things get really, really difficult. So our reference here is going to be Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. That's Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. And let me read that to you really quick. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. 6. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. From a Christian perspective, trust in God is built on submission because true faith requires yielding our own understanding and desires to God's will. Submission means acknowledging God's sovereignty and wisdom, believing that his plans are greater than our own. As we surrender control and allow God to lead, our dependence on him deepens, which strengthens our trust in his character, promises, and timing. By submitting to God, we demonstrate our confidence that he is trustworthy and that his ways are ultimately for our good. Trust, especially from a Christian viewpoint, is the firm belief in the reliability, truth, and strength of God, even when circumstances seem uncertain or challenging. It is the act of relying on God's character and promises, and often involves stepping out in faith without knowing all of the answers, which is a challenge to most of us today because we have become, I would have to say on the most part, comfortable in how things run in our lives because we have worked to set them up and maintain that level of comfort, that level of confidence that, hey, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I take my shower, whatever, brush my teeth, get dressed, I'm ready for work. Might have a cup of coffee, breakfast, or whatever, go out, get in the car, walk to the bus stop, whatever, and make my way to work. Work all day, finish up, leave the office, come on home, and relax. Have dinner, go to bed, see the family, whatever. But we've become comfortable in that. But when things start to get out of order, when there are challenges and circumstances that come about that you didn't plan on, you could become very concerned. A couple of examples of those who trusted in the Lord that are in the Bible, starting in the Old Testament, is Abraham, who trusted God when he was called to leave his homeland and journey to an unknown place, believing God's promise that he would become the father of many nations. That's found in Genesis 12. Now, you take a moment and think about that. You woke up one morning, today, and God tells you, drops in your spirit, I want you to go catch a plane to wherever I tell you to go to. Now, okay, probably something that many of us is going to think twice about. Did I lose my mind last night? Why would God ask me to go anywhere other than what my normal routine is? The risk, I'm not talking about the airplane cost or the gasoline or whatever, or the time walking to this place, is that he's sending you to a place that you've never been to, that you don't know anything about. I can always Google it and get it some insights. You don't know anything from Google other than what Google told you. You trust Google more than you trust God? Another example in the Bible, the Old Testament, Daniel, who demonstrated trust by continuing to pray to God, even when it meant facing the lion's den. This was the practice then. King just threw you behind in the lion's den when you didn't do as you were told. Is your prayer that disruptive that you deserve to be shut down by this means? Confident that God would protect him, Daniel 6. Peter showed trust when he stepped out of the boat to walk on water towards Jesus, relying on Jesus' invitation and power, even though the wind and waves were intimidating. We find that in Matthew 14:22-33. Submission in the Bible, in a biblical sense, means humbly yielding to God's authority, not complaining, appreciating his authority, his guidance and plans, recognizing his wisdom and sovereignty above our own. Yes, we have free will. Try making God mad and see how that free will thing's going to work out for you. It involves a willingness to set aside personal ambitions and desires to align with God's will, trusting that his path leads to ultimate good and fulfillment. Not just to have a good time, but to be fulfilling, knowing that you've accomplished something. Here are a couple more examples of submission from the Bible, and I think I mentioned that. Abraham, I did. He submitted to God's command by leaving his homeland. Rest. That's Genesis 12. And Daniel, again, who demonstrated submission, continuing to pray. But then let's take a look at Jesus, and this is in the New Testament. The ultimate example of submission is Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done," choosing to follow God's plan, even though it meant enduring the cross. That's found in Luke 22:42. Jesus was God who came into this world as a man. He didn't have to. He could have still been in heaven or wherever God is actually at, and just been God all by God alone with God the Father and God the Holy Spirit. But he decided, because God the Father had a plan. He had created man, and he trusted man to do what he would have him to do. He gave him free will, just to make sure that whatever man did, he was cognizant of his relationship with God, who walked with him time and time again. Man had free domain over everything that was here, that God had provided. When God realized that, well, he could probably use a mate, created one from man, from him. He took from man and took from his body and created a mate for him. So they would be as one, not two, but as one. And then man let him down. So, of course, God could have just said, well, let me just eliminate man and create monkey, give him free will, see if he does not obey what I would have him to obey. But I don't want to get too far out there. But I think you seriously understand. The best example of trust and submission, which most of us are probably familiar with, is that of a chair. The chair as an example of trust and submission. Using a chair provides a simple yet powerful illustration of trust and submission. When someone chooses to sit in the chair, when they choose to sit in the chair, you have free will. They demonstrate trust by believing that the chair will support their weight without collapsing. Why would I sit on a chair that's going to collapse? That would make no sense. This act does not involve testing the chair or demanding guarantees that the chair is going to hold my weight. It is a confident action based on the reliability and strength of the chair itself. So, there's a little common sense there. You weigh in 300-400 pounds, and you got yourself a little wooden 2x4 of a chair. It may not necessarily work out for you. But if you got a steel case chair, you got a good shot at it holding you up. In addition to trust, the act of sitting also represents submission. A person willingly yields control by transferring their weight from their own legs to the chair, resting fully on its support. This mirrors the biblical concept of submission, where one surrenders self-reliance and instead depends on something or someone greater. That would be the chair in this case. Just as sitting in the chair requires both trust in its stability and submission it supports, so too does faith in God, call for trusting his character and promises and submitting to his authority and plan. So you can't have one without the other. You can't say that you trust in God and what he's promised for you and not be willing to submit to his authority and his plan for you.
Hello, remember me? I am the former publisher of the Community Journal newspaper, Long Island's oldest and longest published weekly newspaper focused on the Black community. I humbly ask that you consider ordering your copy of Long Island's Black History publication today. It offers both you and your family a look at where our community has come from and lightens the way to where it can go to. In the pages of this hard-covered, oversized coffee table memento, you will find a first-hand record of Long Island's Black political renaissance, while only a simple pictorial reminder of the hard-fought victories and sobering reckonings our communities lived through for more than a decade. It recounts a vital chapter of a time when America struggled with its societal identity, and it belongs in every household. Displaying this collection of pictures of the front pages of our community's news on your coffee table will remind us all of the honor our ancestors, community leaders, and everyday citizens' efforts and sacrifices that dared to demand a seat at the table and change the trajectory of our community. The stories recounted in these pages demonstrate two things. First, that the spirit within never dies, and secondly, truth will prevail as long as we remember what is important and why it is important. As people of color who have sacrificed time and again in support and defend this country's democracy, our equity is true, and we have earned the right to enjoy the fruit of it, because we as a people should prosper as America has. Available at www.theauthorscorner.online.
Not your plan for you. Submit to his plan for you. This everyday example, this everyday example helps make the abstract principles of trust and submission more tangible and relatable. Think about this. Hesitant trust and delayed submission. The straddling chair analogy. If you straddle the chair as you sit and only relax after validating its support, you are not practicing true trust or immediate submission. Instead, you are withholding full confidence and postponing the act of yielding control. This pattern can hinder your willingness to trust God, as it cultivates a habit of hesitancy, straddling, testing, and requiring validation before fully resting in faith and submission. Such thinking can become an obstacle, allowing doubt to take root and making it difficult to trust God wholeheartedly. Even though you possess free will, this approach demands that God repeatedly prove himself to you. As a result, you may never develop complete trust in him until you experience a trial significant enough to reveal his character. Unfortunately, the trial might have been avoided altogether if you had chosen to submit to God from the beginning. You get the point here. We use the chair. Trust that this chair is going to hold me when I sit down. Then I sit down. I submit to that trust that it's going to hold me. If I straddled the chair before I sat, that means I braced myself that if the chair moved slightly after I tried to sit in it, I can recover quickly without falling. So I never really submitted to the fact that that I was trusting that the chair would hold me. And the same thing is like with God, as I just said. We ask him to do something for us. We acknowledge that we would prefer his way, his will be done, and not ours, because he's God. We're not God. So we're asking God to do something for us. Whenever we ask, he's always there listening. He's always there ready to help you, because he wants to be there for you. There are millions, billions of people on this planet, but he is with you when you ask. And you only ask because you believe. And if you don't believe, you can't have faith. So what are you going to do? Oh, well, I'll trust him as soon as he takes care of this particular issue. Well, you can't trust if you don't believe. And if you don't believe, you're not going to get anything from him. Because those who have faith believe. If you went to him, you must have some understanding of faith and belief in him. Otherwise, why would you go to him just randomly? There's a God. Let me go check him out, see if he can do something for me. But you heard about him. And if you heard about him, you should have heard enough about him that the kind of God that he is and what he can do. He can do anything and everything. So there's a reason to go to him, yes, because he can do it. The thing is do you have the faith to trust that he will do it for you? And sometimes it's something that builds over and over time. You ask him for, listen, God, I need a car to get to work. He sends you a bicycle. Well, he didn't do what I asked him to do, so how can I trust him? You asked him to do it, and you accept what he gave you, because he didn't have to do anything for you. You still could be flat-footing it on to work, right? But when we talk about submission and understanding and trusting in God, you also have to bear in mind that you have an obligation to him to be obedient to him in his ways. That was the problem with Adam. He wasn't obedient. Caused all these issues that we got today in our relationships with God. So understand, you can't just come to God and ask him for something and you still running around sinning like it's okay. You gotta step back and say, I want him to do something for me. I need to be ready to do something for him. All he's asking is that I be obedient to his ways and his will and to his command. He gave you the commands. He wrote them down. They are written in every language possible, perceivable. So you got no excuse. You can get the Bible anywhere for free. You got no excuse. Oh, I don't read well. That's a lie. Okay? Because you can ask somebody to read it to you. Oh, I don't have time. I'm busy. Well, trust me, there's going to come a point in your life that you'll have all the time available. But then it'll be too late. Let me give you this last point so we start looking forward to next week's conversation. A practical example of trust and submission is marriage. God created marriage for a reason. The primary reason is that we have physical needs, okay? Procreation. And in being obedient to God, we're not supposed to go around fornicating. So how do you deal with that? You get married. So then you have committed yourself to one person. You are both now one person, not two, because you're married. God will bless your wedding, your marriage. Again, as you are obedient to Him. The dynamic is God first, husband, head of the household, then the wife. The wife submits to the husband as he submits to God. He submits to the wife as he submits to God. He's obedient to God as he would be obedient to his wife. She has to say so, just like you. You got to work it out. But there'll come a point in almost every situation where a final decision must be made, even though you don't totally agree together. There's got to be that final decision made, being led by God. You, as the head of the household, would have a final say. That doesn't mean it's only your say. Final say may be her say. This is what it's going to be, because this makes sense. But you both have to go to God in those times of trouble and confusion so He can lead, guide, and direct you. He only wants the good for you. So when we talk about marriage in the context of marriage, trust and submission are essential for fostering a godly relationship because they reflect the biblical principles of unity and selflessness modeled by Christ and the church. Trust enables spouses to rely on one another's character and intentions, creating a safe environment for vulnerability and honest communication. Submission understood as mutual respect and yielding to each other's needs. Yielding to each other's needs helps both partners prioritize God's will and the well-being of the marriage above personal preferences. What happens in your friend's household or what's happening on TV, that ain't your business. Your business is what's between you and God and your wife. Oh, I got plenty of girlfriends over here. Yeah, so. You ain't doing no fornicating. And guess what's going to happen in the end when you have that conversation? Oh, you want to make an appointment so you can have that conversation with God so you can prepare yourself for that conversation and straighten up just before that meeting with God. It's not going to work like that. When both husband and wife choose to trust and submit, first to God, then to each other, they cultivate an atmosphere where forgiveness, understanding, and love can flourish. This mirrors the relationship between Christ and the church, where Christ's sacrificial love and the church's willing submission result in harmony and spiritual growth. Ultimately, trust and submission in marriage are not signs of weakness, but of strength and faith, allowing couples to build a resilient partnership that honors God and withstands life's challenges together. Now, if you don't have enough information there to start rethinking or feeling comfortable in your marital relationship, and you're not using the first conversation on trust and submission to God, there's going to be nothing but chaos and confusion in your life. You got to pick a team. You got to decide where you're going to be. If I'm going to be with God, then I got to get in line. I got to accept, which is not really a problem, not difficult, because what do you control? Let's give that some thought. You don't control anything. You even have to go to God to get self-control, because you got free will. And the enemy is all over you like right on rice. You don't think so? You don't feel that way? Oh, I'm a good person. I don't have any problems. Yeah. I'm not going to hang around for you to let me know how that works out for you. I'm just going to tell you right up. You missed the whole point. And you wasted your life because you missed the whole point. It's not about you. It's about God and what he would have you to do to bring him glory. Not you get glory, because you ain't taken not one trophy, not one plaque, not one medal. You may take it to the grave with you. But once you hit the grave, man, you ain't going nowhere. But be buried right where you at. Your body that's going to rot away. Your soul is going to be locked up after that meeting with God. And he tells you, I don't know you. I never knew you because of your arrogance and disobedience. You know it all. But anyway, you still got breath in your body. That means you still got a chance. Trust and submission, they go together like this. If I trust you, I can submit to you. Like your boss at work. You don't actually even have to trust your boss. As long as you do what he says do or she says do, you're still going to have a job until things change. You die or the business fails. One of the two. Anyway, going to move on. I'll see you again next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
Welcome to Night Church Television. Night Church Television is a Roku exclusive channel produced by the Montgomery Media Group TV Inc. in collaboration with the Walking by Faith podcast, hosted by Elder Dr. Larry Montgomery Sr. This channel offers Bible study lessons 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, featuring teachings from anointed clergy from around the world. Night Church Television aims to transform evening Bible study by providing engaging and profound lessons from clergy across the globe. Each broadcast will present a unique and elevated approach to spiritual learning. At the heart of Night Church Television lies its diverse array of dynamic Bible study lessons offered by a variety of well-known clergy. Each episode features teachings from prominent clergy known for their insightful and powerful delivery of biblical truths. To enhance viewer engagement, program hosts will incorporate interactive segments where viewers can submit questions and receive real-time responses from the featured clergy. This format fosters a sense of community and offers a personalized learning experience. Select programs will occasionally include testimonials from individuals whose lives have been profoundly impacted by their faith. These stories will encourage and uplift viewers, demonstrating the real-world applications of biblical teachings. Night Church Television on Roku offers a profound and engaging Bible study experience. Through high-quality production, interactive segments, and strategic outreach, the channel aims to educate, inspire, and unite viewers in their spiritual journey. Night Church Television will offer a variety of special programs, including thematic series based on specific books or characters from the Bible, guest appearances by renowned theologians, and live worship sessions. These features will enrich the content and provide subscribers with a well-rounded spiritual experience. The channel will prioritize high-quality visuals to ensure each episode is both informative and visually appealing. Professional lighting, sound, and camera work will enhance the viewing experience, making all programming a pleasure to watch. To cater to diverse audiences, all programming will be available in multiple formats, including live broadcasts, recorded episodes, and on-demand viewing. This accessibility will allow viewers to engage with the content at their convenience. Building partnerships with local churches and faith-based organizations is our key to establishing a strong viewer base. These partnerships will facilitate the sharing of community events, open group study sessions, and collaborative content creation, fostering a sense of unity and shared purpose. Night Church Television's primary goal is to facilitate spiritual growth among viewers by providing profound and accessible Bible study lessons. The channel aims to deepen viewers' understanding of Scripture and strengthen their faith. Night Church seeks to build a global community of believers connected through their shared love for biblical teachings. Our interactive and communal programming will create a supportive and enriching environment for viewers. To ensure long-term sustainability, Night Church Television will continually evolve its content, incorporate viewer feedback, and adapt to the changing landscape of digital media. Regular updates, fresh segments, and innovative features will keep the channel relevant and engaging. Our success will depend on God's will and the Christian family's hunger for a stronger faith walk through study and fellowship via this media resource. Night Church Television on Roku will be defined by its ability to offer a profound and engaging Bible study experience. Through high-quality production, interactive segments, and strategic outreach, the channel will educate, inspire, and unite viewers in their spiritual journey.
You have been listening to another episode of the Walking by Faith podcast hosted by Minister Larry Montgomery, Sr. and friends. Join us again next time as we continue to labor in this vineyard with an eye towards bringing the words of God to those who are interested. This podcast is a presentation of the Montgomery Media Group.tv and can be found on most podcast platforms. Video presentations are available on YouTube, the African American Shopping Network channel. May God continue to bless you and yours until next time. God bless.